Welcome to Revenue Growth Live with Daryl Amy. You're about to join an interactive forum where business executives, sales professionals, and marketing leaders share ideas to accelerate growth. While you are here, make sure to like or subscribe to get notifications for future episodes. You're encouraged to get involved in today's live conversation by liking and commenting. Now, let's join Daryl Amy for fresh ideas and innovative strategies to help you grow your business faster.
Hello and welcome to Revenue Growth Live. Daryl Amy here, and I'm extremely excited about what we have to talk about today. And that is this topic of strategic innovation as a catalyst for business valuation. What we want to be thinking about here today is how can we grow the value of the business? Whether there's an exit being planned and we want to accelerate into the exit so that we can maximize the multiple, or whether we simply want to maximize the valuation of the business in terms of its ability to generate revenue and profit. All of this is super exciting. And what I want to share with you today are some practical ways that as you think about the valuation of your business, you can accelerate valuation through innovation. So let's dive into this conversation today. In this 25-minute executive briefing, we'll talk about how to increase the valuation. I want to leave you with some practical tools and next steps that you can put to work. If you have any comments on this, if you're watching live, would love to interact with you. And of course, if you're watching later, would love to interact with you as well through the comments on the video or direct messaging me through LinkedIn. So when we're talking about business valuation, let's just be pretty simple here. This is the multiple on EBITDA, net profit, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization for my accountant friends. The multiple on EBITDA or revenue that a buyer is willing to pay along with the terms of the sale. This is what the buyer is willing to pay. And like any market, when we're selling a business, when we're selling any product or service, when we're selling real estate, the value is what a buyer is willing to pay. And I want to add on to, along with the terms of that sale, does that come with favorable terms or unfavorable terms? And what we want to aim towards is maximizing both the multiple and the favorable terms on the sale. And I believe that innovation, and today I want to show how innovation strategically placed can help increase the business valuation. Now, when you think about traditional ways to increase the sellable value of the business, there's some best practices that are in place. Of course, you need clean financial statements. You need good financial processes. You need financial statements that are clean. You also need operational systems. The buyer needs to have a clear view into not only the financials of the business to make sure they can trust it. They also need to have a good sense that the business is going to be able to operate smoothly, especially once the founder exits that business after the transition happens. So that's why, and these are table stakes for increasing not only the sellable value of your business, but the probability that it will actually sell in the first place. You do need to invest in clean financials. You need to make sure that your books are in order. You also need to invest in operational excellence. You need to make sure that your processes, your SOPs are in place. That's why we see so many companies when they're coming into a season where they realize they're going to exit, that they know they need operational excellence. So they start implementing operating systems such as EOS in the company. Now, these are really, really important things to do because they help accomplish their table stakes that help reduce the buyer's resistance to buying the business and increase their acceptance. But the problem is these things, when it comes to actually getting the books straight and getting your operations in line, yeah, you've got to do that. But so does every other company that's selling out there right now in the marketplace. So I want to talk about what we can do to further increase the multiple on the business and also increase the chances that that transaction is going to close. And so to do this, I want to look back to something that Tom Hopkins, the great sales trainer, years ago shared in one of his books, one of my favorite books on sales. And of course, we're talking about selling a business. And what he said, in order to make a transaction happen, we've got to do two things. We need to decrease buyer resistance and we need to increase buyer acceptance. So we need to reduce the amount of perceived risk in the case of selling a business that the buyer perceives, because every time the buyer perceives a risk, what happens is it ends up with them discounting in their mind and in their offer the value of the business. Risk is expensive, so they end up discounting because of risk. Today, we want to talk about some of the risks that don't necessarily get addressed by clean financials and by great operations. We need to be able to reduce the perceived risk. And at the same time, we also need to look for the ads. Where can we increase buyer acceptance or the perceived reward or gain from the transaction? So where are we going with this, Daryl? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's what we want to talk about here, is where is the perceived risk and where is the perceived reward? So let's think about from the perspective of a buyer. And remember, the value of a business is related to the buyer's willingness to offer a certain price and favorable terms. These are the types of questions that come into play outside of the financials and operations of a business. And I'll offer three. Number one is, who's going to be the catalyst for new ideas when the visionary founder leaves? Hey, when the visionary founder, after the earn out and after everything's said and done, who's going to be the catalyst for new ideas? And how will the company continue to create new value once the founder is gone? And let's add another layer onto that too. Will the key employees stick around or will they stay after the acquisition? Now, these are the types of questions that are going on inside the potential buyer's head, whether they say it out loud or not. And the reality is, when there's concerns in each one of these areas, who's going to be a catalyst for new ideas and strategy? How is the company going to continue to create value? And will key employees leave? When those thoughts are on the table, all that means is there's discounts, and discounts are not good when you're looking to maximize the value of your biggest asset, a business that you've created over decades. You want to make sure to maximize the value, and we've got to remove some of these concerns. So think about this: buyers discount valuation based on perceived risk. And one of the biggest perceived risks is that when the founder leaves, the entrepreneurial spirit will be gone. The fear is that this will lead to a slowdown in growth in the company. Slowdown in growth, well, that's reduced future cash flows. And of course, from a pure mathematical perspective, we're discounting future cash flow to determine the value of the company. So if you think about this, when the buyer perceives risk of the founder leaving, the innovative spirit of that founder leaving, and possibly some key employees not sticking around, it leads to a discount on the business. So what do we do about that? Well, I've got a couple ideas. First is, for these first two questions that in the mind of the buyer, who's going to be a catalyst for new ideas when the visionary founder leaves? And how will the company continue to create new value? What's a good answer to that question to have proactively? Well, I would say the proactive answer is the company has a process in place to innovate after the founder leaves. It's a strategic innovation council. The company has a process in place for innovation, and we've got people in place to do that. A strategic innovation council. Now, what this does is it tells the buyer, okay, yeah, I know the founder is not going to be around forever, but the company has already taken the steps to make sure that it becomes not just a company with an innovative founder, but it actually becomes an innovative company. Now, you go, what is a strategic innovation council? I'm glad you asked. I say a strategic innovation council is a group of forward-thinking employees that meets with a regular cadence to develop, package, and pilot new ideas. There are employees on your team right now that have gifts of innovation. In the Working Genius model by Patrick Lencioni, these would be people with gifts of wonder and invention. People on your team that understand the customer and understand, know, and have the gift to be able to, and the foresight to be able to understand what could be done to create more value. These are the people that get put on a strategic innovation council. Now, imagine being the buyer of a business. Business number one has a very innovative founder, has made an incredible business, but they're kind of the only innovation engine, if you will, for that business. Business number two, business B, has a strategic innovation council in place. Not only do they have a visionary founder, but they actually have a team of employees with innovative gifts and a system and process to generate new ideas, to take those ideas, pilot them, and the good ones get packaged up. Now, business A, when the founder leaves, there's going to be a vacuum of innovation and value creation. Business B, when the founder leaves, there's already a team of people there. And this is where things become very, very powerful. And we begin to answer the next concern that creates buyer resistance, perceived risk, and discounting on the company. And that is, okay, well, I know that the founder is going to leave, but what about some of the key employees? Some of the most important employees in a company are the employees that understand the customer and have gifts of innovation. Well, what's the answer to that? Well, key employees that understand the business strategy are fully engaged in the Strategic Innovation Council. And on top of that, these employees that are in the Strategic Innovation Council, they have created a pipeline for new leadership. These are people that know how to think strategically and how to create value. Jim Collins, in my favorite book, Jim Collins wrote, Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, says it very, very well. He says, hey, most companies have a creative founder. The challenge, however, is to become an innovative company rather than a company dependent on an innovative founder. This is a challenge for businesses that want to maximize their valuation and reduce some of this perceived risk. If I'm a company that is dependent on an innovative founder, when that founder leaves, a huge part of the value of that company leaves. But if I can change that company, if we can take that company and move from being an innovative founder to becoming an innovative company with a strategic innovation council, that's where we can begin to not only remove that perceived risk and that devalues the company, but actually replace it with a council that adds value to the company. And this is what we want to talk about next. What can we do to increase buyer acceptance? So we're thinking about company valuation right now. How can we increase the price that a buyer is willing to pay for a company? Well, buyer is thinking, how is this company positioned to continue to grow? After we buy this company, what's going to continue to drive growth? And if that buyer has a portfolio of companies, maybe they're a private equity fund, maybe they're an individual with multiple companies, the follow-on question is, how could acquiring this company help me increase the value of other companies in my portfolio? So rather than looking at the perceived risk, oh, what if the founder leaves? What if key employees leave? What does that do to value creation? The flip side is, imagine thinking about, okay, well, what's this company going to do to continue to drive growth after the acquisition? What's the company going to continue to do to drive growth, and how could it benefit other companies that I might have in my portfolio? Well, this is where getting strategic and intentional about innovation really begins to pay off. Because when the buyer's thinking, okay, well, how's this company positioned to grow? With a strategic innovation council in place, a group of forward-thinking employees that are close to the customer, that are continually innovating using a process and system, now we've got a pipeline of new ideas coming out of the Strategic Innovation Council. So the buyer is able to look and go, wow, there's a pipeline of ideas already in place. I got a group of people that are continuing to generate new ideas. That's not a net discount. That's a net gain on the company's valuation. And let's look at the second issue as well. How could acquiring this company help increase the value of other companies in my portfolio? Well, hey, I'm buying a company that's got an innovation council, and this acquisition could actually become a catalyst for innovation in my other companies. Now, if you want to talk about a game changer in terms of perceived value, once again, company A doesn't really have a process in place for innovation. They may have an innovative founder, but the fear is when the founder leaves, a lot of that entrepreneurial spirit, innovation, strategic direction leaves with that person. Company B has said, no, let's become an innovative company with an innovative culture. Let's put a council in place. And so now that company begins to get a reputation for saying, hey, we're an innovative company. We understand how to innovate. We understand how to come up with great strategic ideas. We understand how to test them, and we understand how to bring them to market and integrate them into the company. Company A is going to really struggle when it comes to valuation. Company B is going to be in a really great place when it comes to valuation. And if you think about it, there's actually an innovation premium. And this is a recent article from Forbes that I think said this really, really well. Let me pull this up. Said innovation is the main reason behind high valuation multiples because investors are willing to pay a premium for ventures that have a possibility of rapid growth while potentially creating a defensible solution. And this is an article from Forbes on how innovation can transform valuation. Now, here's what's interesting about this. That article was written to fast growth startup software companies. And you go, well, I'm not a software company. Doesn't matter. Any company, in fact, companies in some of the most mundane, dare I say, boring industries that innovate, not just on their products and services, but on their go-to-market strategy, their customer experience, all of these different areas we can innovate in the business model. These are the reasons why buyers look at that as an attractive company that gets a higher multiple. And, in every industry, we've got a variety of multiples that there's a range. There's a low end, there's a high end to valuation. And the reality is buyers tell themselves a story. A potential buyer is going to tell themselves a story. Let's look at two potential stories a buyer can tell themselves. Now, Company A on the left side in orange is that company we've been talking about. Yeah, they've got a great founder, a super innovative person, a strategic, always coming up with new ideas, but they don't really have a process in place. Buyer is thinking, hey, I like this company. The financials are solid. They've got documented SOPs. They've done their work to be marketable out there. But if the key employees leave, it's going to take some work to maintain the current revenue and profitability. It kind of might shrink in the short term, but maybe we can take pieces of this and make something out of it. I bet I can get a good deal on this company. Now, if you're selling a company, this is not what you want a buyer to be thinking. You don't want them to be thinking, well, it's not great, but I bet I can get a good deal on it. Makes me think of just talking to a friend who's starting a services business last night. I was talking to this guy and he was like, I need to get a truck. I need to get a work truck. And another one of my friends said, well, you can go to this company that buys salvage vehicles with a hail damage and you can get a real good deal on a truck. That is not how you want someone thinking about your business. You want them thinking about, hey, this truck's incredible. It's got, leather seats. It drives itself. It has a 18 position tailgate or whatever that is. Now, that's the way you want people thinking about your business, going, this is an incredible business. Story B is, you know what? This company's awesome. They've got a pipeline of new ideas. You can feel the energy of their key employees. There's probably a good chance this company is going to continue on its already great trajectory of growth. Man, I wish all of my portfolio companies had this kind of energy. Now, the company on the left, the company that is dependent on a founder for strategy and new ideas, and where the buyer has a lot of resistance and is concerned, that company is going to have a discount on the multiple. They're looking to get a good deal, and they're probably thinking, you know what, afterwards, maybe we can put some energy into this thing and grow it. But if you're the seller, this is not a favorable position to be in. This is kind of like that old work pickup truck with hail damage and, crank windows. It's not something that's going to command a lot of premium. On the other side, though, What we want to be in is a position where we're driving an innovation premium, where the buyer is going, man, I really, really want this company. It's awesome. They've got not just an innovative founder, they've developed an innovative company with processes and systems in place. They've got a strategic innovation council in the organization. And this is, buyers tell themselves stories. And the question is, when it comes time to market your business, to put it on the market, whether you're there today, whether you want to be there 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, or whether you're somebody that understands that things change, and if there's a change in your personal life, a change in your health, and the business needs to go for sale for whatever reason, you want it to be in a good position to be able to sell at a premium and not a discount. Yes, you need to get your financials in order. You got to do that. You need to also make sure you've got your operational systems up and running. No question about that. But financials and operating systems, those are in a lot of ways table stakes to be able to get the transaction to close. And the data is not good on transactions closing. So you need, if you want to actually sell the business, you need clean financials. You need great internal processes. But I would submit to you, if you want to decrease the buyer resistance and increase the buyer acceptance, it would be a really, really smart strategy to also look at what you're going to do to replace the strategic, the innovative gifts, the entrepreneurial spirit of the founder. In the book, Walking to Destiny, which is a fantastic book that every business owner should read, that any business owner that wants to have the option to exit someday should read this book. It's incredible. He says your placement or your specific company multiple in that range from discount to premium is determined by the perceived strength of your intellectual capital and the perceived risks associated with your business. The perceived strength of your intellectual capital. So, how do you increase the perceived strength of your intellectual capital? Well, get some intellectual capital going inside the business. Of course, the brand, of course, all of that. But think about the intellectual capital of a strategic innovation council, of a group of innovative employees that are close to the customer, continually coming up with ideas to increase the value you provide to the customer and also thus the value you provide to your business. This is really, really critical. And if you're thinking about, having the option to sell your business, or at least thinking about from the standpoint of what if I have to sell my business for whatever reason, it is smart to today begin thinking about how you can increase the valuation of your business. And I believe that innovation is the X factor in doing that and doing that successfully. We see it working in tech startups. That same spirit, we see it working in Fortune 500 companies. Look at a Fortune 500 company that is innovative versus one that is just sleepy. The innovative company is going to demand a premium on the stock market. What also works for your established company as well. So this is something that is an incredible opportunity for so many businesses that want to increase the sellable value of their business. If you'd like to have a further conversation about this and about these topics in our 25-minute business briefing, we want to be focused. We want to be to the point. But I want to honor that time today. If you'd like to have a further conversation about this, if you're the owner of an established business and you're saying, you know what, Daryl, this makes a lot of sense. This resonates with me. I'd like to have my business in a position where if I've got the option to sell someday, I want it to sell for premium, not a discount. I'd like to talk with you about the potential of how an innovation council could work in your business. And all you need to do is go to this page right here. We'll put it right up here, strategicinnovationengine.com/get started. We'll put that in the show notes as well. And when you do, we'll set time to take a deep dive into your business and your strategic innovation process and what that could look like. And in preparation for our meeting, I'll also send you a copy of our special report and guide A Visionary's Guide to Unleashing Strategic Innovation. You'll get a copy of this as well. So if this is resonating with you, or if you know a business owner that is going, hey, Daryl, this is somebody that would really, really appreciate these concepts, go to strategicinnovationengine.com/get started. Share this video, point them there. I'd love to have a conversation. All of this is saying, hey, if you want to make an impact, and if you want your business, you want to leave a legacy, you want your business to continue, you want to maximize the valuation of your business. So if you do decide someday to exit, or whether you decide to stick around, you want to create resources that can make an impact in the world. You got to increase the valuation. How are you going to do it? I submit to you that innovation is the X factor when it comes to increasing valuation. So thank you for joining me today. I'd love to speak with you. Go to strategicinnovationengine.com/get-started if you are a business owner who would like to increase the sellable value of your business and open some new options. I appreciate the investment of your time today. I love sharing these ideas with you. And until next time, let's get going and let's get growing.